speed.
Oh, okay.
Good. Now use a forward slip to see if you can fine tune it. Nice job. Look at that. Here's your football field. Bam, you go through the wall, maybe going forward. Not a huge big deal, right?
So I have a deal with my students that I can look at them at any point in the flight and ask them, where would you go right now if you lost the motor? They can ask me the very same question, and the idea is just to keep that awareness going, right? To make sure that you're always thinking where you would go, so that if you lose your motor, you just hold your pitch to your best glide speed, turn toward your best field, immediately start checking systems and seeing if you can't fix the problem. So the other day I'm out with Serg, we're near Livermore, and he looks at the airport and says, hey, could we make Livermore from here? And we just tried it. I don't know if you've ever done that, but often a Class Delta tower, if they're not busy, will approve a simulated engine failure to the runway. That's what we asked for, and that's what we got. And it was a great exercise. What we learned at Livermore, as you can see in this first approach here, is that we were way too high.
I think the lesson that we're going to learn on this one is that it's just as bad to be too high as it is to be too low.
Yeah.
And that we're going to have to learn some tricks to make sure that we get there at the right altitude. We had plenty of space to get to Livermore.
And you can see that being too high when it comes to an engine failure is pretty much just as bad as being too low. Especially where I fly. I don't know where y'all are flying, but you know, when I'm looking out at places I can hit, I'm usually over a congested area, so it's like, can I hit this soccer field? Can I hit that football field? Can I hit this small beach area? In mountainous terrain, can I hit this little meadow? So the skill is really not just, can I make the runway? What I like to practice is, can I hit a specific part of the runway? So after some work at the practice area, we found our way over to Oakland, where I know there is not a lot of light GA traffic, so we could do power off approaches. And we practiced power off approaches onto a runway with precision instrument markings. Now, if you look at the markings on a precision runway, you can see that each set of marks here is about 500 feet down the runway. The solid white marks, the 1,000-foot markers, are 1,000 feet from the runway threshold. So if you think about the size of a football field, which is about 100 yards, right? Maybe 300 feet, 100 feet on each end for the end zone. Let's call it 500 feet. All right? I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I'm going to use. A football field is 500 feet long. So when we're out here practicing at Oakland, we're trying to hit a point right here in between these two marks. So you can come back to the Finer Points channel and review the engine failure video that I did with Paul last year. And what you're going to see there is kind of what we're practicing here at Oakland, that I teach. There are 3 tools available to you as the pilot to make sure that you hit a point you want to hit on the runway. So power comes to idle. Initially, we have so much altitude here, we're just going to go flaps 10 and look for a downline at 85 knots. We're going to turn a high, tight base leg. All right, we're dealing with so much altitude that it's now about, how do I shed the altitude effectively without, getting in too deep, without shedding it all too soon. So I have 10 degrees of flaps. I'm in that key position, that high, tight position. And flaps are my first tool. So if I look at that runway and I still think, yeah, I'm way high, I'm just going to go flaps full. Tool number 1 is spent. Tool number 2 is the geometry of the approach. So I don't have to turn in right away. Now, this is giving me a little bit of fudge room. If I overdid it on the flaps and I feel like, oh man, I'm going to be low now, you can turn directly toward the numbers. That's why that geometry of that approach is so important. You're not getting any further away from the runway, but you can turn in at any point. More than likely, you're still going to be a little bit high, so make sure you square the turn to final. Letting your nose fall. Don't be afraid to bank the airplane. You can see here that Serg is pushing a little bit of inside rudder and not banking the airplane enough. That's a dangerous situation. He's skidding around the turn here and preventing the bank. It's much better to bank the airplane and let your nose fall to maintain speed. After all, you're still flying at 1G, so your stall speed has not increased, as long as your speed doesn't increase and you're not holding altitude. Plus, losing altitude is what you wanted to do. That's why we squared the turn to begin with. So practice that a little bit, and as you come out on final now, you can use a forward slip to kind of fine-tune your touchdown and make sure that you can land the airplane inside of 500 feet from a power-off glide.
Good. Go flaps 10. And you're really wanting to end up in the key position. You want to turn a high, tight base. So let's go ahead and turn base now.
Okay, well, there's...
That's please, yes.
All right.
Please turn toward it. Turn toward the guy.
Oakland Tower, I can hear
Good.
a little bit better now, but hold short of runway 2
There you
right
go.
for landing traffic.
Hold 75 knots. This is really where you want to be, in this key position.
Okay.
Hold 75. Don't dive at the runway. Hold your altitude. Right. Okay, good. There you go. Because from this position, you can ask yourself, am I high? Am I low?
Yeah, I'm actually
fast.
not that bad.
Yep, so let's add more flaps. You're a little high, so from this position, go flaps. And the geometry of your approach is the most powerful tool here. Like, should you turn in yet or not? I say go for it. Turn in, go full flaps. You're high.
Full, yeah.
Yep, good. Keep turning, keep turning. More bank. Give me more bank. Turn the plane.
Right at Golf, contact ground, .9er, Niners Delta Alpha.
All right, good. Now this is where you want to do, you actually do want to keep your nose down for 65 knots. Don't flare early. Keep your nose down. Okay. Even if it looks like you're going to land short, you'll float onto that runway. Keep your nose down.
Yep.
Good. Keep it down for flying speed. There you go. Good. Hold her off. Good. Nice. Good. Alright, that was all side loading. Good. Flaps up.
Yep.
Full power.
Alright, full power.
Nice. Getting there, but we had a lot of cleanup to do. Alright, so let's go full power.
Maintain VFR at below 2,500 and contact NorCal approach on 120.9er.
120.9er VFR out below 2,500, 639er.
Alright, let me take the plane again.
I got it.
I got the plane. Okay, so. Alright, so there's a football field. See it over there where the Raiders practice behind the cell tower? Alright. If you want to be able to put the airplane down in something that size,
yeah,
you have to be a little more precise, right, than we're being. So nice job getting to the runway. We got there, but we got there 10 knots, 15 knots fast.
Yeah.
So I want you to look at the precision markings on the runway.
6 o'clock, same altitude, 0 miles.
It's a ghost.
Thanks, 26.
If you look at the runway, do you see those big, thick white marks?
Yeah, I know the...
All right, those are 1,000 feet down, and the marks beyond those are 500 feet. So that's a football field, from the 1,000-foot markers to the marks beyond.
Wow. Sierra Papa, runway 28 right, clear for the option.
Clear for the option, 28 right, 236 Sierra Papa. Let's see if we can now hit that spot.
Okay.
And if we don't, if we go through the wall at the end, there's no consequence. We'll just note how fast we're going when we hit the wall, okay?
Okay.
All right, so same drill, only now you can't touch down before the white marks, and you have to try to touch down as close to them as possible.
Got it.
All right, you've got the airplane?
I got the airplane.
All right. Yep, so power to idle. There's your power off.
All right, 10 degrees of flaps.
Good.
And pitch up for best glide.
Good. Now looking at those white marks, get yourself out to the 45-degree position.
All right. Okay. I think that should be it.
It's about right here. Good.
Okay.
And turn base then. That's a high, tight base leg.
All right, high, tight base.
And you're 75 right now with 10-degree flaps. Okay.
Yeah. 5, keep turning. Looking. All right.
Okay, good.
Looking a little high.
Good, so go flaps 20.
Flaps 20.
I think you're quite high. Let's go flaps 30.
All right. Flaps full.
Nice, and that's, now the only other option you have here to hit that spot, other than your slip, is this geometry right here. So hold off for the last minute here, now turn.
Okay.
Good, and bank it over and let your nose come down. If you don't pull, you're not increasing your stall speed.
Okay.
Good. Now use a forward slip to see if you can fine tune it and really hit that spot. Beautiful. Good. And aim in front of it. You're aiming like one runway stripe in front. Don't dive so far with the nose. That's building up speed that you're going to see is going to take you right through the wall. All right. Good. Come out of it. Nice job. Look at that.
Yeah, I think first time I built too much speed in those slips.
Good. There's your football field. Bam, you go through the wall, maybe going 40. Not a huge big deal, right?
And this is great for anybody working on the 180-degree power-off approaches for the commercial. The power-off approach should be the default. If nobody's in your way, if you don't have to extend onto a 2-mile final, why not glide to the runway? If you do this on every approach you fly, or at least as many approaches as possible, if you are ever that person who has an engine failure in flight and you need to hit a small area, you're going to be able to do it. Okay, my thanks to the sponsors for their support of this show, and to the patrons. Without that support, these videos and podcasts and all the stuff that I do just wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to support the channel, please come visit patreon.com. You get all sorts of benefits, long form lesson videos, and all sorts of other fun stuff. Also, a huge thanks to Serg for letting me publish his flight training to the internet, and to Michael Bizar for the music. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. That makes a huge difference for the channel. Come visit me at learnthefinerpoints.com. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Jason Miller, and until next time, be safe and fly your best.